All right, so District 2 Sports Podcast, and we're excited to welcome one of Virginia's most accomplished high school football coaches with 6 state championship appearances and 3 state titles between Wayne Campbell and Heritage. He's built a legacy of winning and leadership. It's Coach Brad Bradley. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate that.
Well, Coach, I wanted to kind of go back into your success. We've kind of talked about this offline a little bit, but you've been at Wayne Campbell and Heritage. You've been to several state championship appearances, and you won a few state titles there as well. What do you feel has been the key to sustaining success over so many years?
I think the biggest thing doesn't change no matter where you're at and what kind of talent you have. I think the biggest thing is you figure out how to get kids to get over themselves. We have a big saying this year. We want to be selfless in order to be selfish. And what I mean by that is you got to put your team first. That's the selfless part. In order for your team to become really good, and then all of a sudden, you're going to get individual accolades, and that's part of being selfish. And I think that that's one of the things we've tried to preach, and we try to, all the things that hard work. But the biggest thing is, man, you can't be selfish in this game. If you're selfish in this game, it's not going to work. It's the greatest game in the world. You can have one or two basketball dudes. You can have a pretty daggone good basketball team. You have a really great quarterback, no offensive line, probably not going to win. You can have the best offensive line in the world, not have dudes behind them, probably not going to win. So football is a true life sport. You got to count on the brother beside you, behind you, and in front of you. And I think that that's some of the things that we try to do and what we tried to do since I've been coaching.
Well, Coach, you've been part of the game for over 20 years. And so I want to ask you, over your time, how have you seen the game of football change or evolve, and also the athletes that have started from when you're just started coaching until now?
Well, you were just nice and polite. I'm actually right at 30 years. Getting right, I'm starting my 31st year coaching overall, my 29th year as a head coach. Give me the question again, because you threw me off when you just said over 20. You got me to be young again.
Well, now that you've been a part of it for 30 years,
there you go.
How has the game and the athlete, changed and evolved over the years?
Man, that's a good question. I think, I came into this thing probably one of the youngest head coaches in the nation. I actually took my first head coaching job at Gilmer County, West Virginia, when I was 21 years old. The first game I coached, I was 22. I would say the couple things that have changed, obviously, is, the culture, just culture in general. Transferring was not even thought about back then. And now it's it's an everyday thing. I think kids used to be kids just did what you tell them to do. Run through the wall. Yes, sir. All right. Now it's run through the wall. Why, coach? Why would I run through that brick wall? What I mean? So they think a little bit more, which is a great thing. And I think that, I think another thing is, I think that, again, going back to the individuals, I think people want to be seen. We're big on here at Heritage. We don't wear arm sleeves. We wear the same socks. If I could get Nike to ever get on board and have an order, we'd have the same shoes like we did for the first 5 or 6 years. But I think too many people now in all sports want to be seen. Hey, let me throw one pant up and one pant down. Let me put this pink thing on here when I'm not even on pink night, or let me do this. And I think that people want to be seen. But the things I think that haven't changed, man, ball hadn't changed. It's still ball. Like, you still got to block, tackle, fundamentals, and things like that. So, even though it's changed, and what happens is you're the young coach, you jump in here and you hear these older guys, hey, kids aren't the same today. Well, I'm now that coach. Kids aren't the same today. But I think you got to figure out a way to adapt or you get left behind. And I think that that's part of it. I think, some of us, like, our dinosaurs that have been there for 30 years, there's not a lot of them left now. And you see a lot less coaches going 30 years because it's a tough thing to do. But I think one of the reasons is because it's just, it's a harder grind. This is not a 9-to-5 job. And you sign up to be a coach. You don't sign up to be, you got to be here all the time. And the kids are different, and you got to adapt and figure them out. And I think that's what builds in longevity.
Coach, you were talking about Rich Rod earlier before we got on here. How much of an influence was he on your coaching style? Heritage is known for their offenses. I've seen you guys get your athletes out in space. And did those offenses that he had in previous years, did that kind of influence yours as well?
Yeah, we still use a lot of the base terms. Like, we still our base formations. We'll hear things, and it's a guy could come in. I had a buddy of mine that has top 5 receiving records that beat Jerry Rice at one time. Glenville State's name was Chris George. And he came into our locker room in the state semifinal game one year, and he said, "Y'all still using rip, Liz, ram, lion?" Like he could still get half the terminology. But I took a lot of offense. I mean, God put me in the right place. I got there in 1992 at Glenville State and got recruited by Rich Rod, and that was a right place for me. But I'm gonna tell you right now, that guy taught me more about how to be passionate about this game. And Rich Rod gets a lot of negative stuff about how he's on kids and this. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was that kid that would run through that brick wall for Rich Rodriguez, and I would still do that because he did things behind closed doors. He did things for his players that people didn't know about, and he taught me that kids are the most important thing. And he taught me that also, like, if you don't have that passion, you don't come with it every single day in practice, and they can't feel that your excitement to be there, then they're not gonna be excited to be there. So what I've learned from Rich Rodriguez, man, is a little bit of everything. I think that he changed a lot of the things that I was thinking. I also was very lucky to play for Willis White, which was at the time at Salem, that won multiple state championships, and I was with him, but two contrasting styles. Willis, he never yelled. Rodriguez, I don't think ever was in a regular voice. So, we definitely learned some things, but I definitely think that a lot of some of the traits and a lot of the things that I do now as a coach, my actions and my offenses and a lot of schemes definitely came from Rich Rodriguez.
Coach, what position were you at Glenville State?
I was a wide receiver. So my freshman year, I made the travel team, played special teams, earned my way. Kids today, they don't like to do that, but I earned my way. I played on the punt return, blocked a couple punts my freshman year. I was on the kickoff team. My sophomore year, I was a rotating wide receiver to slot position. I earned the starting punt return job. My freshman year, never gave it up. So I returned punts for basically 3.5 years. In my junior and senior year, I was a full-time receiver, didn't have to rotate. My claim to fame was, my senior year, I had 49, 50 catches. Guys, I was fourth or fifth on the team. We had a guy named Carlos Ferraz, had 129 catches. So, I was that Wes Welker. I'd catch the ball on a slant. I would do those kind of things. But I did the stuff that nobody liked to do, and I did the stuff that's selfless, in my opinion, to be selfish. We had a really good football team. I blocked my butt off. When coach asked me to block backside, I'm blocking my butt off backside. He asked me to block play side, I'm gonna block my butt off, and that's how I got to play. God didn't give me a lot of height and this and that, but he gave me heart and he gave me an opportunity to do things. And Rich Rod would always say it, "I'm trying to fire you, Bradley. I'm trying to fire you. I'm trying to find somebody faster, taller." And every year he couldn't fire me because I'd find a way to stay on the field.
Do you find yourself spending a little bit more time with the wide receivers? I mean, obviously, with your experience at that position, obviously, how secondaries work too. I mean, do you find yourself spending a little bit more time with those skill position guys?
I've been really lucky, especially the last couple of years. Now, 23, I had to do a lot more, but I've got a guy named Ben Alexander that I hired from Liberty University. He was actually a starting safety at Liberty University with Freeze in 21. He's been my wide receivers coach for the last 3 years. I'll be honest with you, yes, I'm involved in every group, but I'll let my guys coach. Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't want to be over there and be stepping on their toes. Now, there'll be days, I'll come over and I got a blocking drill we want to do, or I got this we want to do. But, yeah, I mean, I still, obviously, receivers are probably dear to me because, I coached it before and I've played it. But I try to go around to every position. I'm probably, in every position. I've been really lucky to have an offensive line coach, the same offensive line coach for the last 25 years. So I'll go down there just to really kind of just annoy him because, question him on what he's doing because we've been around so long, and it kind of makes him mad, but I do that on purpose. But, no, I mean, I guess to answer your question, I try to treat every position group fairly and try to be over there.
Well, Coach, just talking to you, you've been known for your energy and discipline, and we talked about the kids who have kind of evolved over the last 30 years. How do you still keep it? Get that toughness or bounce the toughness of keeping the game fun for them? Because I know these kids nowadays, they got to have fun while they're playing too. So
that's the thing, man. You play for me, it ain't going to be easy. I'm not going to sit there and count. Y'all seen me. Y'all been on sidelines. We're playing last night against William Fleming. I'm on their butt. Doesn't mean I don't love them, but I'm going to correct them and we're going to hold them accountable. But I'm saying that the thing that keeps me energized is I love this game. Every single thing I have in my life came from football. My dad was a coach. My grandfather was a coach. My uncle was a coach. Every meal that's gotten on my table from the time I grew up, football provided. Every car I've ever driven in or rode in, my dad, my grandfather, me, that's been football provided. 90% of the people in my life I've met through football. And when I lose that passion, or I find kids that don't want to match our passion, then I might think about giving it up. But some people ask me, well, why are you trying to do both, athletic director and football coach? That's pretty hard. It is. First of all, it's a challenge, and people say you can't do it. So I'm going to prove them wrong. I mean, that's how I was born, and that's how I've always been. But the biggest thing is I still love this game. This is the best game in the world. And it's my old high school coach used to say, tough game played by tough people under tough conditions. And you go through and you look at football, it covers every single thing in those things. And I wake up every morning very blessed to have my job, very blessed to have the opportunity to coach kids. And, when I get to the point when I don't want to be around my kids, some coaches get to that point, it's time for me to step away. But right now, man, I love my kids. I mess with them on group chat. They mess with me. I'm 52 years old. Both my knees are horrible, and they'll make fun of me. They'll take pictures of me in practice or video, and they'll send it back, and they'll laugh at me. We had an office manager up here, and she put something on TikTok or Instagram. Teams coming out last night. Here I am behind them, limping, and all my kids are just making fun of me. That's fun. That's what this thing's all about, man. I'm very lucky to still have relationships with kids, man, that played for me 30 years ago. I mean, I got a kid that played for me at Gilmer County, West Virginia. I was 22 years old. He was 17, 18. Like, dude, that was only 4 years. And he's now the head coach at Gilmer County High School, right? Like, I've got those guys. I've got guys that played for me at Botetourt when I was an assistant coach at Botetourt for 2 years in 98 and 99. And they got a realty business together. I mean, that's the part. When you get invited to weddings, you get invited to christenings, you get invited to things like that, and you get involved. Even if they just let you know what's going on in their life, that's what this thing's about. Because at the end of the day, man, we all want to win football games, but we want to win in life. And if I get a chance to keep getting these kids involved in these kids' lives, and they feel like I'm important enough to keep me involved in their life, that's going to keep me wanting to coach this game.
Coach, going from coaching to being the athletic director, in this time and age where everyone has to win right now, you got to see wins, you got to have a winning season, you got to win state championships. How do you approach, looking over these other programs as far as, baseball, basketball, and whatnot? How do you keep in contact with these coaches and let them know they're on the right track? And how do you approach that conversation?
Well, I think coming in first year, I think it's one of those things that you kind of, got to have a chance to meet with the coaches. Now, I haven't met with the winter coaches yet. Obviously, fall is going. We had a really unique situation here. We had our volleyball coach kind of dip on us 2 weeks before the volleyball season started. So I got two young women that have done a great job. They've stepped up. Just right now, my job for them is just to be there. Hey, you got a question? I'll be there. You need something ordered? I'm there. You got an issue with the travel? I'm there. And then I get into the winter, I'm going to have a little bit more veteran coaches, and I think it's just about, we do got to set expectations. When I took this job, I'll give you a fact. In 2012, when I took this job here at Heritage, the Heritage and Glass job were open. There was a lot of guys that applied for both, not me. I knew I was a pioneer. I did not want the Glass job. Nothing against Glass, but I knew, to me, you can't apply for the Heritage job and apply for the Glass job. Who does that? All right. So when I applied for the Heritage job, one of the reasons I wanted the Heritage job, at the time, Mark Meyer was the principal. It ended up being the superintendent at Montgomery County for a while. And his assistant principal was Tim Beatty, which is now my principal, which has been my principal the whole time. But he told me in an interview, like, if you don't win, you're going to get fired. Like, we're going to get rid of you. Like, we have the expectations. We want to get this thing turned around. And at the time, both programs were struggling. That's what made me excited about Heritage. I want to be held accountable. And we've won 127 games in 13 years. I think we've been accountable. And, we've had our ups, we've had our downs. But I think the biggest thing to answer your question, man, you just got to work with the coaches. But definitely communicate what your expectations are, because I'm going to promise you this, my expectations are going to be different than the last. The same way the next AD is going to be different expectation than mine. But there's some situations, at Heritage, we've had trouble fielding a baseball team on both JV and varsity. And that's something, we really got to do and get recruiting. We just hired our softball coach. He's out there recruiting to get things, we haven't had a JV soccer coach. JV soccer team in a while. So there's a lot of challenges right now. I need to hire a swim coach. So there's a lot of things, and it's just a matter of, hey, you got to allow time for it, set aside. And the biggest thing about doing the AD thing, when you get something, you can't put it off. You got to handle it right then, because all of a sudden you put it off, it's got this. Now you're stacked. So one of the things I try to do is just take it off the board every time it comes around.
Coach, you've been at Heritage since 2012. I'm sure you've been around the Seminole longer than that, but just talking about the Seminole district in general, I kind of refer to as the the SEC of high school football conferences. I mean, it seems like every other year or last 10 years, people have gone on runs, won state championships. Rustburg, Heritage has won, EC Glass is up. JF, everybody, Amherst when Abel was there. How do you approach each game each week, and how tough of a district is this just for you every year to go through?
And I know, man, and I'm not disrespecting any teams in Roanoke or anywhere around us, but nobody, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, nobody wants to play in the Seminole District week in and week out. Now, you schedule a Seminole District team, that's fine. You did, but I'm going to promise you something, man. Our district from top to bottom is probably one of the most physical districts in the state of Virginia, and definitely the most physical. You said it, and I've said it many times in my 14 years here, SEC. Because at any given day, now we're not blessed with a lot of great Division I athletes. We've had some, don't get me wrong. Logan Thomas, we had Lala, we've had some dudes, all right. But we don't really have those guys. We're not the beach area 757. We're not the 804. We're not the rich. I'm gonna promise what we are. We got dudes that want to play football. And you're talking about how I prepare for every game. Every game in the Seminole District is going to be a slobber knocker. People in this district, coaches in this district that have been here for a while, like Rocco and Cruz now going in, I think, what is his 4th year? They understand, man. It's any given. Even given Sunday, it's any given Friday. Who knows what's going to happen? If you don't show up to play, you're getting your butt kicked. And the thing about it is, in this district, to me, it's not so much we got the best teams in the state of Virginia, but it's everybody is competitive, and you got to face them. We always say it, somewhere in your schedule in the Seminole, you're going to run the gauntlet. You're going to have to play LCA. You're going to have to play Rustburg. You're going to have to play Brookville. You're going to have to play them all in a row. Like, that's hard. Glass, our rival. So everybody's got to get in that gauntlet. And there's really, I think Liberty's going to be up this year. I think they've done a better job. And I just think, you look at our district year in, year out, man, it's tough. And I'm probably prejudiced about it, but I do think, and I've been here for 14 years in this district. This is a tough district, man. I'd rather go back to the Dogwood any day of the week. I was there for 9 years. I'll go there any day of the week because, and I'm not taking nothing away from the Dogwood, but top to bottom. Like when I was in the Dogwood, you had Gretna, William Campbell, Appomattox came along. Chatham had one couple years. Then River started to come there when they had the couple kids they had. But there was never the consistency of 5 or 6 teams every single year. Here it's boom, 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 boom. And it's a tough district.
Do you think that's a product, Coach, of just like the coaching in the district? Do you think it's more of a product of the kids who are coming through, the Lynchburg, Forest area? I mean, what do you think it is?
Well, I think me personally, and y'all have heard me say this many times, kids win games, coaches lose games. Coach, don't get me wrong, great coaching in this district. Great coaching. Much respect for everybody there. And I think now that Coach Ross over at Rustburg, new coach at Liberty, Coach Womack, I mean, there is great coaching here. But I mean, I'll say it again. We don't have all the D1 dudes, but man, we got dudes that can play, and they are good, tough, rugged high school football players. And so I'm answer your question. I'm gonna say the kids. I think kids make coaches. You can be the best schemer in the world. I can go up there and I can win on the board all day long. But if I ain't got Jimmy and Joe's to run those X's and O's, I'm getting my butt kicked. So I'm going to say kids in this. I think kids in this area are pretty tough.
Coach, I just want to revisit last year. You guys go 9-3 overall. I think you lose 2 games, 2 close ones in the regular season to LCA, a game that was a nail biter. I think you lost by 7 there, and you lose a close one to Glass. You guys beat Rustburg in the playoffs and lose to LCA in the playoffs. But I want to get your overall thoughts of last year, and then also, what can this team carry over from last year to get better for this year?
Well, you talk about the 2 losses: the regular season loss to LCA and the regular season loss to Glass. Especially a Glass loss, probably one of the hardest losses we've ever had. I mean, we only gave up like 90 yards of offense, and we lost. And we gave up 3 special team touchdowns, roughly three. Every point came off special teams. We gave up a kickoff return. We snapped a punt over our head that ended up 3 points. They get on the 4-yard line. We held them to 3. And then we snapped a punt over their head, and they score. So, and then we lose 17-13. All points came out of special teams. If you go back to the LCA game, we gave up a kickoff return to get in, which we're never supposed to kick it deep, and we give them 7 points. So, and then the second game against the LCA in the playoffs, nothing but credit to LCA. They were rolling. They had it rolling, and that's why they're state champions. That's why they represented that district we talk about all the time, the Seminole District. But, I was very happy with our kids last year. I thought we fought. We had our chances in those 2 games. We were a couple plays away from being a 10-1 team or 11-1 team. This year, I think it's a different situation. I think that I started out in 2023, lost our defense coordinator 3 days before practice started. And so I had to do the defense and kind of do the offense. And it was a crazy season. And we had a bunch of sophomores and freshmen. Those kids became juniors last year. Now we're seniors. I've got 21 seniors. Now, that's misleading. A couple of those are new kickers that have never been on the team. So you're looking at 18 solid seniors that have been with this program, though. And that's big. I haven't had that many seniors probably for about round 22. And we were a pretty good football team in 22. So I think that that's another thing about the Seminole. You get a good group of seniors that have been in leadership, that have been in the Seminole District, then, you got a chance to compete. If you don't, you don't. And that's the thing about it. So we're lucky. I think going in this year, we do have some senior leadership. I think it's up to us how good we're going to be. Now, I didn't, as the athletic director, I didn't help us out any. We opened up with the #1 team out of West Virginia, and we're off this coming week. We open up on September the 5th. Bridgeport, West Virginia was 14-0 last year, averaged over 52 points a game, never went one game, 4 quarters. Every single game was a running clock. They run the single wing. They've lost 3 games in 3 years. They're studs. But in my career, you don't get to be better. You don't become the best team unless you play the best teams. So we're going to go 5 hours away, and we're going to give it everything we got. And we're excited about that opportunity to put our program on display. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, my next deal was to add Thomas Jefferson, which was 12-1 last year. So I literally added 25-1 to our schedule. And you still got the district schedule. So, I really don't think I'd have done that to a lot of groups, but I truly believe that this group can handle it. And if we can overcome adversity, that's what's going to happen in the season. We're going to have adversity. We're going to have injuries. We might have an unexpected loss. We might have an unexpected situation. If we're able to handle adversity, we're going to have a pretty good football team. If we can't, we won't. But in my experience, 2018, 2022, 2012 here at Heritage, 2005, 2002 at William Campbell, we weren't always the best teams, but we came together as a team, and we found out how to overcome adversity. And that's what wins football games for you.
And, Coach, I mean, you talk about talent. Y'all are looking pretty loaded this year, and I think that kind of shows last night with the win against Fleming. But, Slash, Holloway, David Bradley, Dominic Jones, Javen Gaskins, Xavier Scott. You got a newcomer in Raekwon Rucker, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
So just talk about those guys, what they're going to mean to the program this year, and any other guys who stepped up or last night or who you expect to step up.
Well, I think we're going to talk about last night. We talked about Jaden Miller. Jaden Miller, had a tough season last year, and really has worked his butt off in the offseason, and came out last night, had a touchdown catch, had a big catch across the middle, and ended up having a pick 6 there at the end. To me, that's what Heritage football is all about, man. It's not always going to go your way. He didn't quit. He didn't put his hands up. He just fought through it and spent all offseason getting better. So I think his confidence level going into this regular season is going to be great. Yeah, all the guys you mentioned, man. I mean, we got some good dudes there, and I think we got some other seniors. I don't have a roster right in front of me, but Caleb Grant, defensive end, played a lot of football last year. I'm really excited about. Tyler Harless came over from Glass early. His parents moved over here in January, February. He's playing outside linebacker. Really excited about him. He had a big pick last night. I think the record kid you're talking about is safety. I also think I got some other safeties. I think Juice Davis is a kid. He didn't get to play a lot the first group last night. Played a lot in the second half. I think he's going to be a kid that's going to get a bunch of reps for us on the defensive side of the football. Corner Jaden kind of helped solidify that third spot. Got K'Wan Clark and Slash there. Slash not going to play every game there, but he's daggone pretty good corner. And then you obviously, man, you talk about defense. You're going to talk about our Mike linebacker. He's 3-year starter now, Holloway. And then, you mentioned the Gaskins kid, you mentioned Brad Scott, but I'll tell you what, man, another kid, sophomore, and Tremeke Hudson. Tremeke Hudson's going to be a player. He's about 6'1", 6'2", about 215, and he's got a motor, and he's crazy. I mean, he's just chaos on the field. And I'm glad to have him on our side. Offensively, we lost some big-name receivers, but I like this group better because we got dudes that maybe not be as great athletes, but they run the right routes. They're in the right place. They're doing the right things, and we're able to do a lot more. You watch us play over the last couple of years, we've been a little limited on what we could or could not do on the passing game. And we threw more concepts last night than we've thrown probably all year last year. And I think it's showing that we have an opportunity. We have a chance for a tight end spot. Jax Fowler, number 9, is kind of came in as a junior, going to be able to give us a little bit of reps at that tight end spot. Tyler's going to give us a little bit more versatility. He can kind of line up at that sniffer back, we call it, that hip back, or he can line up at the slot, and nobody can personnel that, right? So that's a little different than what we've had in the last couple of years. So, yeah, man, I mean, I want to mention as many kids I can. J.J. Jackson at the wide receiver position, AC is our outside receiver. Trying to think. I'm just trying to throw some names in there. Oh, Flash Fleshman. So Flash touched the ball twice last night, one for about a 7 or 8 yard gain in varsity, and then took the other one to the house. He's a 10-700 kid. Like, he's going to get some touches here and there. So, we do have good talent, but I'm going to promise you this. I can go through LCA, Glass, Rustburg, Amherst, Brookville, every single one of those teams, and I can tell you that they can match us up. So we have good talent, but at the end of the day, if you're sitting there playing NCAA 26 and you got the things that say the ratings 95, well, dude, there's a lot of 95s in Seminole District. So I'm just happy that we're able to at least look like them. But at the end of the day, you're a 95 and a 95. There ain't a whole lot of advantages going on in the Seminole District.
Well, Coach, I know it's just a benefit game last night against William Fleming, but they are also a 5A school, and they've been to the playoffs the last few years. I mean, what can you take away from I think it was a 41-7 win over them? How much thought do you put into that game last night? Does it bode well for the rest of the season?
Well, we meet as coaches after the games. We were here till about 1 o'clock last night. So we were reviewing the film. We did some good things. We did some bad things. But the best thing that came out of last night, last year, they pushed us around a little bit. We, especially offensive line, we were missing some kids. We just had some spots we had to fill. We were still trying to do that. This year, I thought we pushed them around a little bit. I thought we were more physical. And we have a couple things here that are really what we try to really rely on. Control the controllables. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude, right? And you can control what you do in terms of making mistakes because you lock in, you physically focus. So you can control your alignment, your assignment, and your technique. And but the biggest thing you can control your body language. That's big. There's nothing worse than being a high school football coach. We just scored a touchdown. You got a kid over there, you didn't get the ball. Like, it don't matter if you get the ball. It's about winning the game and be selfless and eventually be selfish because that team is going to get the accolades. No all-state teams are made up of 1-9 teams, okay? All state teams are made up of state champion, state runner-up, deep playoff run teams. That's what it's all about. So I think that's kind of where we're at. I saw that we were way more physical, way more energy, still got a lot of fundamental stuff to clean up.
Coach, when you talk about this team, we talk about the schedule, but what's the identity that you want them to develop by the season's end?
Be physical. Be physical and fight. It's life. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been doing this a while. I'm getting older, but the greatest thing about football, the greatest thing about sports in general, but I'm going to take football right off the bat, is life, man. You just don't go and fight. And you get punched in the mouth, whether it be you lost your job, whether it be you're getting a divorce, whether it be something bad happened to you, and you throw your hands in the air and you whine and cry about it. What's going to happen to you in life? Life ain't forgiving. So in football, we just got to keep fighting. Things are going to happen. We're going to be up by 14. We're going to have to play from ahead. We're going to be down by 14. We're going to have to play from ahead. State championship team we had in 2018, not near as talented as we were in 2017. Different was they didn't care who scored. They didn't care what happened as long as it was a Pioneer that did it. and they could overcome adversity, and they were mentally tough, and we just figured it out. And I think this group, I really do. I like this group. I love this group. And, there's some things, we're not perfect. And, some days they probably think I don't think they do anything right. But I do like this group. I think that we have the potential to have great leadership. It's just a matter of where we do it or not. And now the preseason's over. None of that counts. And great last night, but at the end of the day, it's a benefit game. So nobody puts that in the paper. They shouldn't, at least. And now, really, man, we got September the 5th, Bridgeport, West Virginia, 5 hours away, state championship football team, lost 3 games in 3 years in their stadium, in their house, 12 state championships. We're going to find out who we are. We're going to find out who we are really quick in 48 minutes.
Coach, what is a successful season for the Heritage Pioneers for 2025? State championship?
I hate to say that, and I know that sounds bad. And I think our kids will agree. I think a lot of people in the Seminole District will agree. Once you've been there and you've tasted it, you don't ever want to not go back. And I've been very blessed to be there 6 times, like you said. Now, I've also been at the top of the mountain, the bottom of the mountain. We won a state championship in 2002, 70-0. I got my butt kicked in 2012, 52-0. Right? So I've been there. I know. Briarwood with what was it, daggone? Trace McSorley.
Yep.
13 dudes off that team were Division I guys, right? I mean, we shouldn't have been on the field. Next year, we went down to 3. We were both 4 that year in 12. Next year, we went down to 3. They went to 5. They lost to LC Bird right at the end of the game in the state championship. Before that, Trace McSorley won 3 in a row. We drew Phoebus, probably the best Phoebus team we've drawn in 2022, right? So we've been there. But we set a goal. Like, if I'm a dad or if I'm just a regular person in life, I don't want to set my goal that I can just barely feed my family, or I can just get this house. I want to set my goal to be, I want to be top salesman. I want to be this big house. I want to be this. I want to be that. So we're going to set our goal here. So anything we don't get there, it seems like it's a failure or it's not our success. It's not that mean. It doesn't mean that we might get to the second round, third round. We still had a great year. But in our mind, our goals are set here. That's where our goals are set. So if you're asking me personally, I might sit back 5 weeks away and say 9-3 was a good season. But at the end of the day, it didn't set well for me. It didn't set well for our team. It didn't set well for our coaches. And I think that's been our motivation going all the way through this. Now, you can say the same thing, and you can have that group, that 95 and 95, like I said, and then you can come out of this daggone Seminole District 5-5 easily. So it's pretty simple. It's the proof is what they say. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
What we do on the field is what the greatest thing about. And I think that this is something, and I keep talking about this, but in life, man, you got to compete. You got to compete. It's going to be a competition with everything. So we got to compete every day of our life. Every day we got to get up, figure a way out as coaches to get us a better football team. As a player, it might be all right today. I gave my kids off. We had a benefit game last night. But what are they doing today to get better? Are they actually going to get some rest? Are they going to put good stuff in their body? Are they going to drink a lot of water? Are they going to do some stuff for recovery? Are they going to get in an ice bath? They're going to do this thing? Or are they just going to, go eat Frosted Flakes and watch SpongeBob and SquarePants, right? They got some things they have to do too. So it's what we're going to do. You got to compete each and every day to get better.
Well, Coach, if I was a 16, 17, 18-year-old, I would be ready to run through the wall for you as well. But I'm 34 now. I can't play anymore. But it's been an awesome time. I love the expectations. I think that's always good for young kids out there to set the bar high, make them get up there. So we do appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, and we hope to have you back on for a playoff preview as well.
Anytime, man. I'm hoping fortunate enough to be there, but I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Yes, anybody in this area that is bringing attention to these athletes, to these young men, I'm for it. I don't think our athletes in all sports get enough credit. And with everybody's budgets being constricted now, TV's guys used to have 3 or 4 camera guys. Now they got one dude, right? He's got to go cover every single thing. And then you got in the paper, they don't even have a paper anymore, but 2 days a week. It's sad because there's still really good things going on with high school sports, whether it be girls, boys, whether it be soccer, football, whatever. These young people need the accolades. They need to be mentioned. They need to have things brought out, and they need the publicity. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing on your end.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll definitely like to have some of your players on here too to talk
anytime.
Some recruiting
We're
stuff,
always available. We're always available.
anytime we can do anything as far as pushing these kids up to the next level, let us know. We talked a lot of D3, D2 coaches, but same thing we can do to help out, just let us know.
And just for the record, I ain't rooting for no North Carolina. It was a gift. That's my biggest fan. Go Mountaineers and
Come on,
go
Coach.
Thundering Herd, because my college roommate is at Marshall. So go Thundering Herd.
Well, you hear from Coach Brad Bradley there at the Heritage Pioneers. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.